Thank you. So welcome to the Narrative Method. We have a doubly special guest tonight. We thought we were going to have Douglas Day Stewart, but he had a medical emergency at the last minute, and we're hoping he's going to be okay. But his son offered to play him at our salon. So raise your hand again, Sean. And I'm going to start off by interviewing Sean um, as though he were his father, and then talk to him about himself. And I always think it's interesting when people who are artists, especially when they're so successful, the impact on their children, the impact of all of us, based on who our parents were, and who they told us we were, and the way other people make projections about all that is so profound. And so I really wanted to start off first by welcoming you, Sean, and thanking you for doing this.
You're
And
welcome. I appreciate it. Thank
thank
you.
you. So, okay, as your father, what was the inspiration for An Officer and a Gentleman, which really was just one among many projects?
So, I thought for a long time about why I would do a sequel to a movie like Officer and a Gentleman, which, people claim is a classic. And I've been really grateful for the kind of success that it had and the kind of impact it had on so many lives. So, for many years, I wrestled with how I would follow that up. It wasn't until I had a daughter and understood what it was like to raise a girl and a young woman and the type of relationship that a father has with their daughter, that is a type of love affair. And it actually opened me up to a new chapter in the officer story, which would be about Zach Mayo's daughter, Shannon, and their challenging relationship, as she deals with being basically the daughter of this war hero in this 30 years later, and he's become like this, decorated war hero, but he's lost himself, and there's a huge relationship gap there that needs to be shored up. And so I started to see it from the lens because of my relationship with my daughter, and it opened me up to the next level of this, and I started to see where the characters would go, and it just became like a passion project that I really fell in love with.
So, is the book out now?
Yes, the book is out. Officer and Gentleman's Daughter is in stores, and we had a beautiful launch party on June 26th, and we're really excited about this. And people keep asking me, what about the film? What about the film? Definitely working on that. Have some good things in the in terms of that. But right now, it's really like owning the new identity of being an author after so many years of being known as a screenwriter.
For sure. By the way, you've got the part. I think we should give him a hand, even though you guys are silent. That was really amazing. Have you ever done that before?
I have not done that
Okay.
particular exercise.
So if you would like to follow up in the future, you could play your mother next time, and then we'll look
Yeah,
at the whole picture.
yeah, right.
So, okay, so there's a beautiful irony there about this being 30 years later, and there are you, however old you are, many years later. And obviously, you're close enough with your dad to be able to embody that story. But tell us how it was for you growing up with your dad, his career, and what you expected from your own.
So on the positive side, it's an incredible experience. My father is not just a successful screenwriter with this huge kind of accolades from this story and other films, but just an amazing man who is very loving
Mm.
and has kind of relationships at the center of who he is. And so he lives this idea of love. He's such a like a warm, caring person. I gave him this compliment recently, and he was really appreciated it. But it's just so true that he just cares about every person, even if somebody that is the waiter at the restaurant or wherever. He wants to know about their life, and people feel seen in his presence. So being with having a dad like that is incredible, and I'm super grateful because I feel so much love, and I have no regrets or no kind of missing things from my father relationship, and we become friends, and we've had many different sort of versions of our relationship. So it's been a beautiful thing. In terms of the creative side, he really was a big inspiration for me. I moved into doing music for my career in the early phase as a songwriter, and I did many albums and performed all around Los Angeles at the biggest places like the Troubadour or wherever, House of Blues, etc. Because I found my pathway writing wise through music, but it was always this background of my dad's impact that propelled me to believe in myself and believe that I could create whatever I wanted in my art. So it's just been a beautiful gift. And in the other side of things, my dad is somebody who he lives or dies by people's reactions to his work. So if somebody doesn't read his stories or his script, or if he sends it out to a lot of people and he doesn't get the reaction he wants, it's devastating to him. So I've seen a lot of ups and downs emotionally for my dad being in this industry where he's basically accepted or rejected by whoever in the film industry it is. And so it wasn't always easy because his mindset was sometimes negative because of those kinds of feelings that he had about people not liking his stuff. And I think that it impacted his career because there were opportunities that he had that, in a way, he got in the way of. And so he honestly had a big gap between his success and who he's become as his author. This huge 20, 30 years of not being in the spotlight, of not having something everybody was talking about. He was basically famous. At this
Mm-hmm.
point, no one really thinks of him as famous because it's so far, but he literally was. I mean, red carpets and all over the place. If social media is around, they would know his name a lot more. But now it became about settling in, falling in love. He met divorced my mom when I was 6, met the love of his life about 20 years ago, and he's really found love. So if there was one other reason that he wrote this story, is he's kind of really figured out what love is in this phase. So he's got a lot to talk about. But I'm really proud of him because he came through a crucible, really challenging time. And what he did with it, which is what I am a stand for people, is to turn it into something, right? To turn it into art, to turn it into something that impacts people. And that's what he did with this book at 84. Pretty
Well,
cool.
I love what you just shared because that is one of the essences of what I want to share with our community. There is no place that you can achieve where you never again feel insecure. We all share that. So when you look up to people, don't think they've got it made. There's no made. There's no made, and we have to clean up for ourselves. So yeah, the combination of your appreciating that and you're saying that you were able to take inspiration from your father, because not all artists are good parents, let's say. And that's really moving to me. So tell me about your writing.
So I really got into songwriting and was working on a variety of different things. First, as a frontman, I'm a rapper. I'm a spoken word artist. I would do spoken word in New York City at the New Eurekan, and then in the National Black Theater, I would win these poetry slams. This was coming out of college. I found I had a knack for performing and for doing these spoken word poems. And so I followed that track into writing songs and doing albums. It was a beautiful time in Los Angeles in the 2000s, really, when I was pursuing that. And it was hard. It was really hard, just like what you were saying, because art is, it's like we do art. I think a lot of us do, or I definitely did, because of, there's the love and there's the natural drive, and then there's sort of like the reactions or the response or the people that like it, and that piece of it. So it was always challenging because I was trying to build a fan base and, kind of running the circuit. I felt like it really wasn't getting where I wanted to, but I just kept pursuing, pushing through. And then I got to a point where it was just too painful. I was working as a bartender, trying to make it work. I would do like these shows at the Troubadour and think I was a rock star and come back to picking up trash as a production assistant. Or doing crap with the bartending experience, and it was just a tough dichotomy for me on who I was and what I was trying to do. So I started to kind of lose the desire for the music because I wasn't making much money and I felt really like there had to be something I could do with my life that was better. So I moved into really coaching and originally going to be in the psychotherapy and things like that. But I was really wanted to move into helping people. So I spent the next 10 years in creating a coaching practice and started that in Hawaii, and it was really beautiful. But eventually the music bug came back. And so um, one of the other things too, when I moved to Hawaii, I moved in with my dad. And the first thing he did, like the first week, he said, "What do you think about writing a screenplay together?"
Wow.
So actually, the first 2 years was me apprenticing with my dad. I came there to start my business, but I'm working there. I'm like, I can't miss this time. So I'm in this hot little office and we're working on this screenplay, which I'm really excited about. So that is a story that I look forward to finishing. The last thing I'll say is I think writing song lyrics, which has become the primary thing, it's not easy at all, in my opinion. Like there's a way that I can freestyle rap over a beat where my mind is just extemporaneously I can come up with stuff and that's easy. But actually slowing down my brain with a beat and trying to write it according to the right rhythms is excruciatingly hard sometimes. And I have to like get myself through it. And I know that's common for most writers. So I think that is the the war of art. But it's always great when you get to the other side and you have a song or you have a piece that you can listen to and feel proud of.
That's great. This is a perfect place to stop. And I really thank you. And I don't know if you're going to be able to stay the whole time. I know you ran from another meeting, but if you can, people would love to ask you things later on. So I'm
All right.
going
Thank
to
you so much.
thank you. I'm going to stop recording. Thank you, Pete.